going to be an informal question and answer session. I'm letting people in the meeting. We're going to do a brief introduction on the topic, and then we will be turning the time over to the federal program managers. Drew Thomas, our NEUP office manager, is going to go over the NE mission and briefly discuss the topic area. And then we'll get an introduction from each of the program managers. We'll have you introduce yourself, give us a little bit of background information, and talk about the program that you manage, and then any relevant information from the group. Once we get through those introductions, we will turn the time over for questions. So at this point, I will turn the time over to you, Drew.
Okay, thanks, Felicia. As Felicia said, this is our Advanced Manufacturing Technologies area, topic area 12. What I want to talk about really quickly before I turn the time over to Dirk, who's the program manager associated with this Advanced Manufacturing Technologies area, is a quick discussion of the DOE Office of Nuclear Energy mission. And what I'm hoping to kind of set the stage for is to kind of set the stage for how the CINR funding opportunity is run. And you'll notice that if you've participated in past years, that these scopes are quite open and quite broad. The reason for that is that we are putting the onus onto you as faculty members to really propose your unique ideas to identify gaps, whether they've been identified by the program already or they're gaps that you've identified yourself, to propose technologically innovative and solutions to those problems, and ultimately to provide good scientific research for the overall support of the NE mission. And so the NE mission is outlined here. The broad mission is to advance nuclear energy science and technology to meet the U.S.'s energy, environmental, and economic needs. That breaks down into 4 broad categories. Those are keeping the existing U.S. nuclear reactors operating, deploying new nuclear reactors, securing and sustaining our nuclear fuel cycle, and expanding international nuclear energy cooperation. There are some areas that are excluded from the NE mission because they're covered by other agencies or offices within the government. And those include medical physics, nuclear fusion, nuclear forensics, and environmental management, which are not covered as part of the overall NE mission. So, Anna, if you give me the next slide. I'm going to turn the time over now to Dirk to describe a little bit about what topic area 12 is on advanced manufacturing techniques and technologies. One thing I will point out is we've asked Dirk to come and to answer questions, provide information on the program. The Office of Nuclear Energy runs in this space. As I said at the beginning of my remarks, if you have interest in collaborating, understanding more about what the program is doing, you are welcome to do so. We would encourage you to do so. And if you already have identified gaps or research areas that you're interested in pursuing, then that's also encouraged. So really there's what we're trying to do here in this office hour setting is to give you some context about what's ongoing at DOE, provide you with resources if you're interested in collaborating with the program or want to get more involved in activities that are going on at the national laboratories. And with that, I will turn the time over to Dirk to provide an introduction and any remarks you have about the AMMT program or and topic area 12. Go ahead.
Thank you, Drew. As Drew mentioned, my name is Dirk Cairns-Gallimore. I am the headquarters program manager for the Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies program. Along with myself, Mei Mei Lee from Argonne is here as well. She is our national technical director for the program. Broadly speaking, the Advanced Materials and Manufacturing Technologies program is really about bringing new materials and manufacturing capabilities to the nuclear community and to develop the process to get them qualified, and through the regulatory processes and into the field for use. Currently we are looking at 316H stainless steel and powder bed fusion as one of our objectives. We have PM powder metallurgy HIP activities that are going on, so it's a broad application area and broad introduction of materials. Specifically, though, the one thing that I would actually encourage all of our applicants to do is understand our end applications and really where they think they're going to be best fitting and give us their best opportunity and objectives of how they can improve what we're doing and make it better for the community and for, our nuclear community as a whole. So with that, I just really want to give that as a high level and open up the floor for discussion.
Thank you for your introduction. We can go ahead and open it for questions at this point.
Good afternoon. This is Boyan Alexandrov, The Ohio State University. I have a couple of general questions and then particular questions for the pre-proposals. And maybe later I can ask questions particularly related to this topic. There is this question about non-university collaborators. Is there a limitation on the amount of funding they get from the total award?
Yes, I'll take these that are more general NEUP questions. There is a 20% overall limit on non-university partners, and so that's no matter how many non-university partners you have, in totality they can't have more than 20% of the budget.
Okay. And so cost share from non-university collaborators is not needed, if I understand it correctly.
That's correct. For sub-awardees, for the CINR funding opportunity, there's a cost share waiver for those individuals or those institutions.
Okay. And then for the pre-proposal, do we need to provide letters of intent from collaborators?
So in the pre-application, what will be required is that you list all of those individuals, their information in the form, and then there's a checkbox, a certification checkbox that certifies that everybody that you've listed has agreed to be a team member on the application. And so it's a certification box at the pre-application stage, and then you'll provide CVs and more information on those collaborators during the full application stage.
Okay, so this is filled online and then you need to certify this.
That's right. Yep. So on the online application, you'll certify that. Okay.
Another question, if we would like to work with a DoD industrial contractors, which means addressing such applications, such nuclear application, is that encouraged or supported in this call?
So I would what I would advise is there's no restrictions on the institutions you can collaborate with, but the research area needs to be relevant to the NE mission space that I talked about earlier. So that's the one maybe the one thing that I would caution is, as you're looking at industry partners or others that may not solidly be in the fission nuclear energy space, that their role in the scope of the project falls within the NE mission.
I see. And we don't need letters of support right now in the pre-application.
You don't need letters of support, correct?
Okay. There is a requirement to list the NUEP related publications, but if a PI doesn't have previous NUP projects, do we need to list these publications for collaborators, or it's
you can list them for collaborators. The requirement is on the lead PI to do that. That's a method that we use to make sure that we collect all of the publications even after the projects have concluded. And so if you've been a lead PI or a collaborator on an NEUP project, you should list your own publications. That is the requirement. If you can easily wrap up those of your collaborators, that would be helpful, but it's not a requirement.
I see. Okay. And there is only a CV required for the PI, not for co-PIs.
At the pre-application stage, it's only for the lead PI, not for co-PIs. At the full application stage, you'll need an NSF 2-page style CV for all senior and key personnel. So that would include co-PIs and anybody with a substantial contribution to the project.
Two more questions. In section B.5 collaborators, do we need just to list a list of collaborators, or any details are needed here in terms of CV publications? How do we structure this section D5?
Yeah, so I would refer you to the online application form. There'll be some information there, and it will be if you have any questions in that regard, feel free to reach out to my office, which you can contact at neup@inl.gov, and we can provide any clarifications. But the online application form should be really clear about what information is required for each of those collaborators.
Okay, thank you. And final question, the REU intention, do we need to provide any details on the plans on how we are intending to do that in the pre-proposal?
At the pre-application phase, once again, that's a checkbox that says you're interested in proposing that. What we would expect is if you click that checkbox, there's an REU plan that's required in the full application. That's the full description of what you plan to do for that REU supplement. If you do have space in your pre-application, it wouldn't be a bad thing to add some details about what your plans are there. The REU is going to be evaluated at the full application stage in a holistic way as part of the application about how it integrates into the research and how it supports students throughout the research. And so I don't think it would definitely not be a negative to include some words on what your plans are in the pre-application if you have space in the 5 pages.
I understand. Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
Question later on.
Oh yeah, feel free to come back in. So I noticed we have some in chat. Felicia, I'll go ahead and ask this one, then turn it back over to you for MC responsibilities. But the question is, could you please elaborate on joining and repair? Joining pertains only to metallic materials or ceramics as well? And what are the typical components you are looking at for joining?
So, yes, broadly speaking, metallics and ceramics are both of interest to us, and your joining methodology can be E-beam, friction stir, any of the major known or even newly developed joining techniques. As for components, we're looking for anything that's in the primary reactor system, pressure vessels, tubing, pumps. All those are definitely applicable to our interest and our needs.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next question in the chat is, do we need to submit a letter of intent?
I'll take this as well. For this topic area, if you're proposing In topic area 12, a pre-application is required. That's due on July 26th. If you are interested in utilizing the nuclear science user facilities for irradiation testing of a material, that's the scopes NSUF 1.1, 1.2, and then NSUF 2.1, 2.2 for access to those facilities only. A letter of intent is required for those 4 scope areas. Otherwise, if you're just applying to the general CINR funding opportunity, one of the topic 1 through topic 13 topics, you will the first due date is that July 26th due date for a pre-application.
Thank you, Drew. The next question from the chat is, are nonprofit organizations also exempt from the cost share requirement?
You can read the details in the funding opportunity, but there is a cost share waiver in place for this funding opportunity. So that there isn't, cost sharing is encouraged in the funding opportunity, but not required.
Thank you. And it looks like Nate Mara, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. This is Nate Mara from the University of Minnesota. Got a question about overlap between topic area 11 and topic area 12. Topic area 11 has, it mentions things like development of relevant advanced metal alloys for core materials and cladding. And then 12 will say, topics of interest are include processing and fabrication methods for composites, concrete, and metals. I'm wondering where you want the line of demarcation between these two topics. I'm thinking of proposing something that has aspects of both manufacturing and new materials and new test methods. Where would you put something like that?
So in the case of topic area 12, I would encourage you to look to make sure if you're looking at more of a traditional manufacturing or an advanced manufacturing technique. Mm-hmm. We kind of look at most of our advanced manufacturing techniques, at least in this area, are those that are not really used or part of the codes for the NRC. So like things that we see in kind of the oil industry, like PM-HIP is not, even though broadly speaking, it's not an advanced manufacturing technique because it's used, but for nuclear applications, it's considered an advanced manufacturing. And so that's kind of where I would draw the line between the two topical areas.
Okay, so it's really the focus on the advanced manufacturing itself that you would put in for topic area 12. If it's weighted a little bit more towards the material and say the properties of that material, then you would go to 11.
So in this case, it can go in either, but if you're looking at a material that can only be made through advanced manufacturing, I would suggest topic area 12.
Got it. Is it possible to submit similar ones to 2 different areas if there was enough overlap that I could try going for a different flavor for either one?
Yeah, I'll take this one, Dirk. The applications have to be significantly different, and so it's really, if you're working on a different material, if you're doing a different technique, those would be appropriate to submit in 2 different areas. But the FOA doesn't permit submitting the same application to 2 different areas. What will happen, just from a functional standpoint, if something is really, really cross-cutting, is we typically make sure to involve both program experts and independent experts in kind of both aspects of that, of that type of a topic. So we may have somebody, like a program manager like Dirk, maybe look at the advanced manufacturing aspects of it, and have our materials characterization, microstructural evaluation experts take a look at the other half, and kind of customize a review team that can really address the cross-cutting aspects. So just from that standpoint, as an applicant, just know that internally those types of discussions take place about, okay, this is too cross-cutting just to cover the one space that we're used to, and so then we'll pull in other individuals to make sure that things are evaluated in a holistic way, if that's the right wording to use in that case.
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have another question in the chat. 316H stainless steel was mentioned as a material of interest through powder bed fusion. Could you please suggest other alloys of specific interest, like alloy 709, high entropy alloys, ODS, etc.? Are there any materials you would not be interested in?
So to expand a little bit more on our 316H, the AMMT program is using this as a test case on how we can go about potentially qualifying these advanced manufactured alloys. Beyond that, we're also interested in other alloys that can be made throughout advanced manufacturing, be it ODS, 709, 800H, 617. There isn't really a limit as long as you have a good understanding of what its application is going to be and understanding the environmental effects and its end use. And so refractories are in here as well. So broadly speaking, we're interested in a number of different alloys, metallics, ceramics, and those that could be used for reactor applications.
Great, thank you. It looks like right now we don't have any other questions in chat and no hands raised. So if you do have a question, oh, one just came up in the chat. What is the expectation in the proposal to demonstrate significant reduction to the cost of original construction? How many details need to be provided?
Yeah, this is Bai from University of Nebraska. This is my question. Thank you.
That's actually a really good question. I think one of the challenges we looked at when we look at advanced manufacturing, being able to get a good cost estimate of what it's going to be if it's implemented and what it is. Because one of the things that when we look at advanced manufacturing is it's not good for everything. We need to match the parts with the manufacturing, and there's a scale associated with it, or even just-in-time manufacturing that has a capability that can be done. So when we look at significant costs of reduction of construction, we need to look at it for the intended parts application. And so I think for what we're looking at from an advanced manufacturing standpoint is making sure that when we look at the application of this manufacturing technique, we're comparing it to a comparable traditional manufactured part.
Yes, thank you a lot. I mean, do we need to provide some like economic analysis, some calculation about the cost, and include that analysis in the proposal?
If part of your proposal is suggesting that you are going to be able to reduce the cost, then yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I really appreciate your suggestion and comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else who has a question, feel free to come off of mute and ask your question, or you're welcome to put your question into chat. We'll go ahead and wait just a couple minutes and see if any more questions come in.
And Felicia, while we're waiting for questions, we'll do a last call here. We have about 90 minutes, but we will only go until questions are all exhausted, and then we'll conclude the meeting. A couple of comments that I wanted to make for everyone. I made the comment earlier that our pre-application due date for this area is the end of July. Please check NEUP.gov for the funding opportunity and for any information on the due dates for different opportunities. The other piece that I want to remind everybody about is that this is one opportunity to talk with the NEUP team and to talk with our program managers. But if you have additional follow-on questions after this session concludes, please talk with or email neup@inl.gov, and we can facilitate those conversations either with program managers or answering your questions about the application cycle. And so that's all I wanted to say before we do last call, Felicia.
Great, thank you. It looks like there's one more question in the chat, and that is how many proposals will be funded in this topic area?
Yeah, and that's a question I'll take as well. The FY 2024 federal budget cycle is just beginning, and so there's no clarity about what federal budgets are going to be. So everything that I'm going to say here is pending appropriations. So from that standpoint, anytime the university program puts out a topic area, we have an intention, as long as there is technical quality in the topic area, to fund at least one application out of each topical area. Pending appropriations, we expect that we'll likely be able to award more than multiple applications out of each topic area. Because of the way that they were structured this year, there's only 13 of them and there aren't subtopical areas. So we do anticipate that we'll be able to fund multiple applications out of each topical area, but that all depends on where final appropriations settle for FY 2024. So that's about as much detail as we have right now on that topic, and that will become more clear as the appropriations process finishes and we make some funding decisions and award decisions near the beginning of next year.
Okay, thank you. Looks like we have a couple more questions. This says similar question about the boundary between area 11 and 12. We're considering a proposal to develop a framework to use ion irradiation to study the radiation tolerance of additively manufactured alloys. Could you comment whether this may work for this area as a proposal supporting nuclear qualification and regulatory acceptance, or maybe it would be a better fit for area 11?
So I'm reviewing topic area 11 here real quick, and then I'll give a better answer.
Thank you.
I would say in this case, given that we're dealing with additively and advanced manufactured materials, I would actually put this in topic area 12. It's part of the qualification process and is definitely an area of interest.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for that answer. Another question. We are interested in proposing solid state as well as fusion-based AM for 316H. Should we focus more on process fundamentals or material qualification along with research training?
Wow. I think most of those areas could be full proposals in themselves. I'm actually going to tap into Mei here and let's see what the thoughts on this one are.
Oh, Mei, you're muted.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, I think both topics are very important. It really depends on the specific of the proposal. I think, it's it's the idea that's really determine, you know, which you want to focus on. That's my opinion.
Thank you. All right. Another question from the chat. Is the cost reduction going to be a must-have component?
No, it is not.
Thank you.
One more question on processes, on joining processes. You mentioned fusion powder bed. What about direct energy deposition? Both.
Oh, absolutely. Yep. So yeah, any sort of advanced manufacturing process we're interested in. And when we talk about joining, also joining any of these advanced manufactured parts and components would be of interest as well.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, another question from the chat. Will electrodisposition be considered AM?
So my experience, which is with electrodeposition, is not a lot, but most of the time I've seen it used for cladding and coating sort of applications. I think in this area we're really looking much more on larger structures for manufacturing. Now, if it can do that, then absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, the similar question for cold spray. Can it be considered additive?
Yes.
For let's say improving corrosion resistance for particular applications.
So if I may, I can add that NRC has a definition of advanced manufacturing technology. So their definition is if the technique or material processing method that has not been traditionally used in the U.S. nuclear industry or formally standardized or codified by the nuclear industry, it is considered as advanced manufacturing technique. So in this case, actually, cold spray is considered as advanced manufacturing technology.
Thank you.
I think, but that's one of the areas that I think you'll need to consider which one you want to apply under, because topic area 11 also has specific interest in areas of cladding as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Looks like we have another question in the chat. Any particular alloy? Sorry, go ahead. No, okay. Any particular alloy of interest under AM or ODS material?
For our topic area, we don't have a particular alloy or ODS material of interest. This is really a very broad category, and we're looking for new ideas and new concepts. or even better ideas for current materials. So we're open to thinking in the box and outside the box as well.
Okay, another question. Can I be PI on one proposal and a co-PI on another proposal, both submitted into Area 12?
The answer to that is yes. The restriction for university PIs is at the pre-application stage, where you can be listed on no more than 6 applications, and you can only lead 3 of those 6 applications. So yes, you could be a co-PI and a PI potentially in the same topic area. There's no restriction on that. You can, to extend that, you can also be a lead PI on more than one application in topic area 12 as well, right? So there's no restrictions on outside of that, outside of the 6 total applications for a university faculty member.
Thank you for that. We can wait just another minute and see if any other questions come in. I don't see any more questions in the chat. No more raised hands. Drew, do you have any additional information you'd like to talk about?
No, I'd just like to thank Dirk for being here. Oh, I see Wayne Alexandrov has one more question. Why don't we open it up for him? Go ahead.
Great.
One more. Is there any preference given to collaborative proposals from multiple universities, or universities and national labs, or universities and industries? What is the general vision here?
So from an encouragement standpoint, the one place where the Department of Energy Office of Nuclear Energy encourages those collaborations is with minority serving institutions. And there is if you look in the FOA, there is a diverse teams review criteria that's evaluated by our federal program managers. Otherwise, we want you to choose the team that best fits your scope and the expertise that you need. And if that lies in the national laboratory or industry or with other universities, then we would open that up to really define what's going to work best for your specific project.
Thank you.
And please feel free to interrupt me right before we jump off if you have one more question. But like I said, after this session, please feel free to reach out to NEUP@inl.gov for any of these questions. We will get our program managers or national technical directors or others involved if it's a more technical question, or if it's something that our team can answer from a university program side, we'll do that as well. Just want to thank Dirk for being here. Thank Mei for being here and providing their time and this open format to have this discussion. Really appreciate both of you and your efforts to support the university program. So with that, Felicia, I say we can probably call this meeting a wrap.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you all for being here.
All right, take care, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.